This is the Now Morning Show. So we're based in Trinidad and Tobago, for those of you watching us on Facebook. And we're happy to have you wherever you are in the world. I know some of you are across on the African continent tuning in, people in Vietnam, Singapore, the US, North America, the United Kingdom, wherever you are, we're very pleased to be a part of your positive start to your day. Well, we continue with our Coping with COVID series, and Dr. Erica Wheeler, who is the PAHO WHO country representative for Trinidad and Tobago and the Dutch Kingdom Islands, has been very kind to be with us almost every week since this pandemic has started. Welcome, Dr. Wheeler. Good morning.
Good morning, Lisa. And how are you and my TTT family?
Oh, we're doing so well. I miss you live in studio. But as we start to reopen, I suspect you'll be back in studio very soon.
Okay, looking forward to it.
So the Prime Minister has instructed that we proceed to reopen the country in phases. As of today, we enter phase 1. Explain exactly what this means.
Okay, so according to the recommendations and the guidance from the World Health Organization and from PAHO, we are using a phase to mean 14 days. Why 14 days? Because you may recall in our earlier conversations that that is the period of time that the COVID-19 virus takes to manifest itself. So 14 days is the incubation period. So the 14-day period for the reopening, the initial reopening, corresponds to that period that the Prime Minister has set out. So that's why phase 1 is just like saying, let's look at what is happening in the first 14 days when we reopen, and then we will assess those first 14 days, and then you can look at the phase 2, which would correspond to the next 14 days. So that's what phase 1 is really, the first 14 days of the reopening process.
And the Prime Minister said that we are meant to continue social distancing, physical distancing. So how can persons be responsible to adhere to this call in spite of this level of freedom? So I've been seeing a lot more movement on the streets. Even last week, some people, I believe, have taken the Oxford University #1 ranking of being the most prepared to reopen as a sign that we are in the clear. Are we in the clear as yet with regards to the COVID-19 virus?
No, Lisa and listeners, we cannot be in the clear until there is a vaccine for COVID-19. As you probably would have heard on the news, we won't have a vaccine. And certainly this is what WHO says for a year to a year and a half. So we are looking somewhere towards the last part of 2021 to have a vaccine. So therefore, we can't be in the clear, because anywhere in the world there's COVID-19, once borders are open, there's always that possibility that it can re-enter, just like it re-entered the first time. So we do, WHO is working assiduously on also helping to look at possible treatments before we get a vaccine. But we can't be in the clear until there is a vaccine. We have to observe all the public health measures that you just mentioned, the social distancing, the wearing masks, the hand washing, the cough hygiene. That must continue.
And let's go back now to the phases. What determines the phases approach, as in which businesses and institutions are allowed to open? So, for example, in Europe, some countries focused on barbers, hair salons, and places where appointments could be made. How do you determine which would go first in terms of phases?
Well, Lisa, that is largely down to two things. First of all, the decision of the government itself on which businesses can reopen in terms of support to the economy, because this virus has hit economies very hard. And of course, we have been also hit badly by the virus, with all of the various public and private agencies and businesses closing down. So the determination of what opens also partly, apart from political and socio-economic decisions, it depends on the rate of transmission. Now, the rate of transmission doesn't say you can open a specific shop before another, but the rate of transition, and in Trinidad and Tobago, we have now what's called sporadic cases. It means that if I just give you a little bit of the science behind it, countries are asked to work on what's called their effective reproductive number, which is an indicator of the transmissibility of COVID-19, meaning how fast the virus is growing.
Right.
And all countries should aim to have no more than the figure 1. Okay, so we are not transmitting to one person having it, is not transmitting it to one other person. So when you make a decision about what kind of shops can reopen, you're also looking at where there's the most or the least danger, I should say, the least danger of transmissibility in the population. Right now, we are in a good place. We've not had an additional death. We've not had any more cases for at least 13 days, soon tomorrow to be 2 weeks. So we have what's called sporadic cases. So every country, every government decides which businesses are best placed to open. There's no blanket decision on that. One size certainly does not fit all. But critically, it depends on how fast the virus is spreading. And for us, we do not have community transmission. So it is up to the government to decide which businesses open that can best support the economy at this difficult time.
But if, though, in the next 14 days we see a resurgence of cases, then there would be a rollback in terms of the phased approach. Is that how it
Yeah.
works?
Yes, that is best practice. Best practice says if in the first 14 days you relax the measures and you see your cases start to go up again, so from 116 after 2 weeks, you see a jump, an increase in the number of cases, then what countries are advised to do by WHO and PAHO is to reinstitute the measures, what's called stay-at-home measures, because that 14 days is the incubation period. So if there were to be a spike as a result of the increased movement of persons within the community, then the responsible thing to do would be for the government to go back to the stricter stay-at-home measures. So that is why you must do it in phases. And the 14 days is your guidance, along with the number of persons who then become ill, if that is the case during that period. So there is a science to it, and there is the medical view is that that's how you should do it. Every 14 days, look at the increase or not in transmission.
Hi, Dr. Wheeler. Just to interject, I just have one quick question. Is there a way that we can test to see if people who may have had mild cases in the past that maybe didn't report them or anything, is there any test that can be done to determine if those persons in fact did have a mild case of the COVID-19?
Well, there is the development of what's called serological tests now in the world. There are trials going on, or what they call rapid tests, which would show the number of antibodies that you have in your system. But those tests are not yet validated. And right now, if there is one of the things that the government is doing, because there aren't such tests, is that you would notice that they are testing at the community level for severe acute respiratory infections. That's called SARI for short. So we still have to rely on detection and isolation or quarantine and treatment. And those facilities are in place because there are places you can go into, like the nationals that came back, where you are observed for 14 days. And then if you become ill, you're going to hospital. If not, you are tested again, you are discharged. So we don't have any rapid tests. There are none that are validated excuse me, in the world now. And we know there is a country that bought over 3 million of those rapid tests, and they had to discard them because they were not effective.
So effectively, if someone would have had it and recovered, there's no way of knowing.
Well, At the present time, the only way of knowing is those persons who were in hospital who then get 2 negatives before they're discharged. So if you had it and you were in hospital, you get tested, you have your first negative, and then you get tested 24 hours later, and it's after that you are discharged. But right now, apart from that, there are no rapid tests or serological tests that you can say, okay, I'll test this person 2 weeks later and see if there's any virus circulating in their system. And even if you do pick it up, this is the other thing that we must know. Even if you do pick up something, it doesn't mean that you're reinfected. There might be bits of the virus still circulating in your system, but it doesn't mean you can transmit it, and it doesn't mean you've been reinfected. So it's still early days yet. We're in May, and we discovered this virus in December. From an epidemiological point of view, it's very early days.
Dr. Wheeler, you raised something very interesting there. So what is the period within which you are, that you can transmit? So if you get sick, is it the early part of your illness or the end of the illness or throughout? When is it most contagious?
Well, normally they say the science says the first 3 to 5 days, but we do know that there are people who have it and who are what we say asymptomatic, or they might be pre-symptomatic, meaning they have it, they're not showing symptoms yet, but there is a possibility that they can spread it. So again, a lot of research is still going on, but it is those critical 14 days. Typically, anywhere in those first 14 days, there's the narrow period, 3 to 5 days, or it can go on up to 12 days before you show full-blown symptoms, but you can still be infecting other people. So that's why this period of 14 days that we keep coming back to over and over again is so critical, because you can be infectious anywhere within those first 14 days.
Okay, so my final question to you, looking ahead to the stage where it's expected that the borders will be reopened, should we be anxious, especially when the stats for both positive cases and deaths are still high in countries, for example, like the US, where a significant number of our diaspora reside? Should we be anxious about that phase?
Well, Lisa, this is something every country, I think, is anxious about, because certainly in our part of the world, we are island states. And if we don't have community spread and you have good surveillance systems within the country, and you can detect, you can treat people, you can put people in quarantine, you can put them in isolation, you can do community testing, all those things to give you an indication as to whether the virus is circulating in your country. Once you open your borders and people start re-entering, you then have to put very stringent measures in place to ensure that those coming into the country are not bringing the infection in, because for all of our islands, that's how it entered in the first place, whether it be from a cruise ship or people flying in. So the government will need to put stringent measures in place when people enter, to check if they have fever, to be able to follow up people if necessary, if they show any indications of a fever or illness, and to be able to do what they've been doing, which is to put them in quarantine and observe them. Just like the nationals who came back, but the ones from Barbados were actually tested before they returned, and then they were in quarantine, and then they were put in quarantine again. So there will have to be a number of measures put in place once the borders are open. That is for sure. But that will be in the last phase, and my assumption is that the government will be working on putting those measures in place, as well as the airline industry, because let's not forget that they have a role to play as well in reducing the spread of this pandemic.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Wheeler, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much, Dr. Erica Wheeler, PAHO and WHO country representative for Trinidad and Tobago and the Dutch Kingdom Islands. Thank you for joining us today, and we will continue to join you to keep us updated on the latest developments regarding COVID-19. Very interesting conversation there.
All the time. Every time I talk to Dr. Wheeler.
Always.
You know, I wonder if she speaks Dutch.
Probably, might be. You never
Until
know,
next
you
time
know.
I'll ask her.
You'll ask her
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
All right. Okay, guys, we're going to take in a few messages. Come right back here on the Now Morning Show.